Welcome to Real Talk with YAC, where teens can talk about sexual health, LGBTQ, and relationships.
On today's episode, Kalkidan and I will talk about life as a queer person. We'll be discussing topics such as heterosexual people attending Pride, intersexuality, and more. And speaking of Pride, how do you feel about straight people attending?
Okay, I've been seeing a lot of hate. Like, people will be like, if you're straight, you shouldn't be at Pride. It's not for you. And I just feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of being inclusive.
Right.
And I feel like if you want to support, you can be an ally. You can go to Pride, like, have fun and support your peers that are part of the LGBTQ community. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like I've seen a lot of things like, if my girl's at Pride, I'm dropping her. Like, this, that, the third. I'm like, y'all, it seems kind of insecure.
Yeah,
but
just a
like,
little bit.
do you? So, like, what do you think?
I have mixed feelings. I know recently was Baltimore Pride on Saturday. I don't think they would know the date. But after Baltimore Pride was over, I kind of checked my socials, and one of my friends, he's a male, a boy, sorry. But he kind of posted and was like, you guys hitting on straight people for attending Pride is kind of weird, especially when we're supposed to be allies, stuff like that. And I responded, I'm like, okay, that's your point of view, but there's also another point of view. I personally don't have a problem with straight people attending Pride, but in my experience, sometimes when straight men attend Pride, they're usually saying things like, oh, I'm there for the girls aren't there for you, not today. And also, they like to make a lot of faces, and it just kind of makes the energy weird because if I see you and you look good and I want to talk to you, I'm going to come up to you. But if you say, I'm not with that gay stuff, it kind of rubs me the wrong way because how do I know who's safe to talk to at Pride and who's not safe to talk to at Pride? So I think it's really just about how they approach certain situations. And then I also don't like how some of them who do attend Pride in their everyday life, they do little homophobic things like the no diddy thing, the no homo pause, and then they also say like certain slurs against the community in their everyday life, whether it be on the game with their friends or towards queer people in real life. So it gets a little weird. So it's like I have mixed feelings, but I love an ally. I do.
Yeah, I feel like on that topic, like a lot of people pick and choose when they want to support or like which aspects they want to get into. But also I feel like that connects to like having strong relationships within the queer community. So like building that strong foundation and like just in general queer relationships. And I feel like a lot of people have different experiences in that aspect of their life. So like, what's your take?
Queer relationships is definitely a tricky topic for me. I know I came out 4 years ago when I was a freshman, but it wasn't easy at all, especially because we were in the midst of a panoramic. So navigating a relationship while in a panoramic and online virtually was very difficult. You have some weird people online who like to pose as younger people. You're 35 and you have a bald spot. I just feel like, let's be honest, let's be real. But as a queer person who doesn't label their sexuality, it is a little more difficult to navigate how I talk to people and what people I want to get into a relationship with because everything's just so open to me. But in my experience, it hasn't been the easiest because you don't have a lot of openly queer people in high school, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really valid because I feel like even like outside of queer relationship, just any relationship in general, it's hard finding that foundation of trust and reliability within someone else. And I think in queer relationships, it makes it even harder, especially because like there are a lot of people, they don't be acting like, you can't tell they're homophobic at first.
Yeah.
But like, and then you get to know them, or like there are people who just say things that are like passive aggressive, and I feel like it just makes you more wary of like who you can actually trust, and I feel like that makes it so much harder when you're out in public.
Yeah, exactly. Like the trust is a big thing for me. I know one thing that does help with my trust is like watching shows or just watching pop culture and see how queer people are represented. Like there's this one show on Netflix and it's also a webtoon. I love the webtoon. I love the show. It's called Heartstopper. And I remember first watching the show when I was a sophomore. And I was in a relationship with a girl at the time, but like watching the show just kind of made me more open to different things, and we kind of talked about it, and then we broke off, but we're still friends to this day. But it just kind of opened a lot of doors for me, especially in the queer world, because I know when I first came out, I wasn't really comfortable talking to a lot of people. So just watching the show and seeing how two people experience a queer relationship, it made me happy. It made me feel like I could be me regardless of who I was in a relationship with.
Yeah, I feel like that's really, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about like queer pop culture in general.
Yes.
Like I feel like it doesn't get the hype it deserves.
It
and I feel
doesn't.
like not at all. And I feel like really highlighting that and like people's work, like some people don't even know they're listening to queer pop culture, like
They
pop
don't.
work or whatever. And I think that's actually really crazy sometimes. And I'm like, for real, like they deserve that shout out.
Yeah, they do. Like a lot of people didn't know Billie Eilish was queer. A lot of people didn't know Lil Nas X was queer until he came out after, what is that first song he did?
The little cowboy one.
The cowboy one.
I
Yeah.
don't know what it's called.
So yeah. Old Town Road. Thank you. Yes, Old Town Road. So yeah. So how do you feel about, now that we're speaking about like coming out later down the line, how do you feel about coming out and the stigma around it in Black and brown communities?
I think that it holds like such a great impact on individuals, like especially like when it's culturally, because like a lot of Black and brown communities, it's like it's stigmatized. Like a lot of people are homophobic.
Yes,
like
real bad.
And I also think the idea that like not coming out is also like makes you less authentic is also like a really good, like a really large topic, because like there are people who like their parents are homophobic, their grandparents, like their whole family line is homophobic, and they can be a part of the LGBT community and they might not want to express that to their parents because they still love them, that's still their family, and I feel like they have that right too. But I feel like nowadays like it's like you don't have that right. Like people are like, if you mess with your family that's homophobic, then you're homophobic. Like you can't
Like
be gay
what?
and have family members that like y'all have difference in opinions, and whatever happens. But I feel like it's just like people in your own community, like people in the LGBT community be like, nah, that's not how it works. Like, how do you still mess with them? Da, da, da. Like, you can still love someone even if you don't agree with their views. And I feel like that's a topic that like you don't really hear people talk about a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know when I came out, my biggest fear was my mom not accepting me because she was very homophobic. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not going to lie. But when I came out to her, she was actually like very accepting, and even though she was homophobic in the past, recently she's been really like, she's gotten better. Like she's educated herself more. Like she asked me to tell her more about what it means to be non-binary, what it means to be queer. Like just educate her in certain things so she can educate other people and make the world a better space for me. So I think that's something I really appreciate.
Period. And then like more onto that intersexuality idea. Like I feel like first off, I feel like no one should have to identify like with what they are to anyone. Like you shouldn't have to say like, yeah, I'm this, yeah, I'm that. Like I feel like no one has the right to know that except for you. Like if you want to tell people, you tell people.
Exactly.
But you cannot come out and still be a part of the community. And I feel like that's also like what you were getting at too. Like no one can make that decision for you. And I feel like that's a big idea that like if you're not like openly gay, or if you're not openly this, if you're not openly that, then you're not that.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's just like I feel like it's just weird. Like y'all supposed to be accepting this stuff. Like what's going on?
What's going on? Like I know, for instance, when I'm in school, I'm openly non-binary, but I don't tell everyone my pronouns because a lot of people don't have an effect in my life, so I don't really care if you use my pronouns. Like I remember this one time, this school year, this boy in my class was like, "Wait, your pronouns are they them?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, "Because you're not important in my life." And like he kind of took offense to it because like we're schoolmates or we're like classmates, and my friends are like, "Wow, that was kind of crazy to say," but I feel like that's real. We're not. You're like, if my best friend was to use the wrong pronouns, knowing my pronouns are they them, that would affect me. But if he did it, it wouldn't really affect me because my world doesn't revolve around you. You don't affect my mood. So he was like kind of shocked for me to say that. But I'm just like, I just got to keep it real. There's no point for me to sugarcoat it. And yeah.
Right. And then on that, in schools, I feel like we see there's a lot of things like with the whole system. I feel like that you can say is like not really LGBTQ friendly.
Yes.
But can we touch on sports? Can we talk about that? Because I've seen like if you on social media and stuff, like in Utah and Oregon, things like that, there are transgender women who playing sports with other women, and there's a lot of outrage about that on social media about like they shouldn't have won that, like that's not right. And I feel like that topic is so controversial, and it's also such a touchy subject because I feel like there are so many different perspectives, and I feel like everyone's valid in their own opinion. I just think the reaction is kind of crazy. So what's your take?
Like I know I see a lot of people who like bash trans kids in certain sports, and I'm like, I get you have an opinion, but at the end of the day, that's still a minor, that's still a kid. So you just have to be mindful of what you say and how you're saying it, because you never know, that could be very detrimental to their character, to their life. So it's a very touchy subject, but I think regardless of how we feel about a situation, if we communicate it in a respectful way, it should be okay.
Yeah, and I feel like grown adults bashing kids is kind of insane.
Yes,
Like
it's very
we need
intense.
to get our priorities straight, you guys. And even if you don't agree with how it's going, like the kids in the sport shouldn't care less than you. First off, I just think that's
Yes.
crazy. Like the athletes that are running with them that are losing to them. If they don't care as much, why are their parents booing and sending kids death threats? Like I think that's
Exactly.
absolutely outrageous. And I just think like, and a lot of people, on that note, a lot of people be connecting their homophobia to their religion. And I feel like I haven't seen anywhere in anyone's religion to this point, to my knowledge, where it says to go bash and bully kids. Like, I feel like a lot of religions are all about, like, kindness and lack of judgment and stuff, and that's what you're going out to do. So it's to say, like, you're contradicting yourself. Like, you're going to
Yeah.
follow one part of your religion but not the other.
Exactly.
And it's, like, it's kind of weird, so.
Yeah, like I know a lot of my family is Christian, so growing up with them, they were like talk about a lot of things in the Bible, like a man should not sleep with a man. But the Bible also says thou shalt not judge. You're judging your neighbor all the time.
True.
You don't really follow everything in the Bible. And then also like touching back on like the homophobia and religion, I know a lot of people have these beliefs that just because they believe it, everyone else has to believe it. Like, for instance, I'm a majorette dancer. So doing majorette as someone who was born with male genitalia is a little bit more complex than doing it as someone who wasn't. Like, for instance, you have different dancers, different boys, different non-binary people who are masculine presenting, and it gets so much hate because people are like, oh, our women can't have anything. What is happening to the men in the world? Like, I know this one person I follow on Instagram. His name is Meezy Dances Down. Amazing dancer. When I tell you highest toe touch I've seen, and he does a majorette for his high school. I think he's going into his junior or senior year, but he went really viral off of this one reel of them doing a field show during halftime. And you have some people in the comments hyping him up, but then as you scroll down, you see people with like throw up emojis, people saying, I feel like we shouldn't be teaching our kids this kind of dance that sexualizes them. When majorette really isn't about sexualizing. It's about being confident in who you are. And then you have the people on the very extreme end talking about, oh, I don't believe in boys being on dance teams, stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for letting me know. I don't care. So,
No,
yeah.
for sure. And I feel like also, like, in my health classes, I feel like we don't really talk about LGBT communities. And I feel like that plays a large role because school is like that base for your knowledge.
Yes.
Like, that's like where you learn your stuff. And I've had 2 health classes now.
Yeah.
And we
I've
don't really
only had
talk about
one.
it. I had one my freshman year, and they're making us take another one this year, state mandated. So, like, I'm just like if y'all are going to make us take it again, at least, like, really get into depth with these topics. Like, really educate people because, like, a lot of people, their parents not going to teach them about it. Like, if your parents don't teach you about it, if your school doesn't teach you about it, where are you going to learn from? Like,
Exactly.
I feel like that's a really important part because, like, you have to get your information from somewhere, and it has to be reliable. That's another thing. Like, misinformation is a real thing. Social media, you can't always trust. It can be reliable at times, but it can also not.
Yes. And, like, I know my freshman year, I took a health class, and we spent a day on sexual health, reproductive health, and all they talked about was use condoms, don't get pregnant. And then next thing you know, we're talking about eating apples. I'm like, what is going on? How did we skip from this topic to that topic so quickly? But one thing they didn't touch on at all was queer relationships, queer topics, and it really just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it's like, if you don't give me this information, how do I know how to navigate the queer world and be safe?
No, that's really valid. And I feel like a lot of times they talk about, like, abstinence, like, but they don't really talk about other stuff. Like, once you're, like, we're teenagers. We're in Baltimore. Like, we've seen the statistics. We've seen all of it. Like, I feel like we need to be educating students on a deeper level and really getting into their brains. And I don't know. They need to make it, like, more interactive or fun and stuff. Because, like, half my class be asleep. I would just be so honest. Half my class be so asleep. And I feel like we just really need to, like, we need to double down on that sexual health education in class. But I'm going to move on to good examples of allies. So, like, what does it mean to be an ally? And, like, your opinion, your view.
Yeah, okay, just to wrap up, I feel like a good ally, in my opinion, is someone who is willing to recognize when they're being ignorant or recognize when they don't have information and recognize when they need to educate themselves.
I think that's really valid. And I feel like I definitely agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like on top of that, like, I feel like you just have to be like open, like completely, and like just open to everything and not really judgmental. And people be like, oh yeah, like I don't say this, I don't say that. Like you can, like people the faces people be making sometimes, like on that alone you can tell they're judging you. And I feel like that just changes the whole environment, because then it feels like you can't like really be open and honest in that with that person. And I feel like that just changes the whole thing. But I also feel like you have to be able to take the first move. And even there are people who are homophobic that like they know they're homophobic and they accept that, but they keep it to themselves. And like, good for you, because you shouldn't be going around like, oh, they're saying that if it doesn't affect your own life, why are you really getting into other people's? Like, just let them be who they are. That's what you're doing. So I feel like that really plays a role.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for listening to Real Talk with YAC. Today we discuss life as a queer person. To learn more about this project, check us out on Instagram at UChoose Baltimore and on Facebook at UChoose. This podcast was produced by YAC members Don and Kalkidan. Stephanie Desmond, Raven Parker, Lindsay Smith-Rogers, and Taylor Solomon are executive producers. Audio editing was done by Matthew Martin, PJ Porter, and Holly Cardinale. This podcast was recorded at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in partnership with the Public Health On Call podcast, Baltimore City's Youth Advisory Council, the Maryland Department of Health, and the Johns Hopkins Center for Communication Programs. Thank you.